Hello, welcome back to Glass Reviews,
Hey!
and for another episode of Unrestrained.
Woo!
Ethan,
Yeah.
I know you aren't that big into Star Wars, but do you happen to know the guy of a YouTuber named Star Wars Theory?
No.
No? Okay, so this is a big Star Wars YouTuber. I think more people follow him than the actual Star Wars account, like the verified Star Wars account. So this is his ranking every Star Wars show from best to worst. The guy is
Yeah.
very intelligent on the Star Wars stuff. He's made fan films on Star Wars. It's very well known dude. So thought we'd watch his video of ranking every Star Wars show from best to worst and see if where we agree and disagree with him.
What's up, guys, and welcome to me ranking the Star Wars shows tier list. Now, this, of course, has all of the movies in it as well. We could do that as well, but I feel like I've done the movies already. I have a video on that. I think it's 17 minutes or so long. Check it out if you want. I rank all the movies, and I might go ahead and do it again because my opinions have changed. Sort of. Not really. Okay, so as for the shows, these, of course, are the shows that Disney has created after George Lucas, of course, sold Star Wars, and we're going to rank them. Okay, so let's go through them first, and then we can decide where they go. The S list is obviously like perfection. There's nothing that can be improved. They're absolutely perfect, phenomenal. A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and then never watched. There are some that will fit into every single category here, so let's go ahead and get right into this. This is going to be a long video, so sit back, relax. Don't get triggered by my thoughts and views. Make sure to hit the like button if you like these videos and want me to do more. So, all right. Here we
He's
go.
a big enough YouTuber where he can actually say,
First of all,
don't get triggered by what my views or anything. So yeah. We don't have to say that because we're not big enough.
I want to bet that nothing gets into the S tier.
I would think the last season of Clone Wars would probably get in the S tier for him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would think that would. I can't really think of anything else that would, at least for him. Maybe Ahsoka for him, because I think he liked Ahsoka. But
Oh,
for
so
him,
is he like Thomas when it comes to Ahsoka?
No, I have no idea. I don't know. I just know he liked it early on. He was very helpful. He liked that it was a very faithful adaptation, much like Thomas was. I just don't know if he still liked it after the way it ended and everything. So this will be interesting to see.
That's fair.
we have
Okay.
The Mandalorian, Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. Okay. Then we've got the Clone Wars show. We've got Kenobi, Star Wars Resistance. We have Star Wars Rebels, The Bad Batch, Boba Fett, Andor, Tales of the Jedi, and the OG Clone Wars 2003 it was? I think in 2002 by Tartakovsky.
If he does rank that, that is probably going to be S tier. If he ranks the 2003 Clone Wars, the thing that I've tried to get you and Thomas to watch.
Fail his name. Tartakovsky. And that was honestly one of the best Clone Wars, I think. You know, two totally different feels, but this one was much more gritty. Anyways, let's get into everything. Okay. So we're going to start off right off the bat with The Mandalorian. Season 1 and Season 2 for me were by far, I think, the epitome of Star Wars. I think like peak Star Wars once George sold to, you know, even we could even say like it potentially could be also peak Star Wars even in the George Lucas saga of everything. And we're going to look at everything as a whole here. I'm going to be totally transparent. I'm not going to be a shill. I'm not going to be a hater. I'm just going to give you guys how I feel. Just to give it to you raw. Tell you what I think. Okay. So The Mandalorian, I thought Season 1 and Season 2 was absolutely phenomenal. Okay. We had a new character that we had never met before. And I remember seeing the premiere, the first 5 minutes of the first episode of the first season at Star Wars Celebration. And this was like an exclusive thing that only we got to see in Chicago in 2019. I was floored. I thought this was really cool. I really wanted to watch the show, and I couldn't wait till I did. And finally, once we did, it was amazing. We got to see Baby Yoda, and it had that connection with the Jedi, with literally one of the most famous Jedi ever, which is Yoda, and we don't know anything about him. And George Lucas always said that this is a character who is going to be extremely mysterious. He comes and goes into the scenes, and we know nothing about him. And I thought that's brilliant. And Yoda is this very mystical, wise, ancient creature being who's also immensely powerful, as we saw in the prequel trilogy, or even raising Luke's X-Wing. in the originals. So for me, Mandalorian Season 1 and 2, I don't think there's anything that could have been done better, in my opinion. I think it had beautiful exposition, beautiful action, beautiful acting, storytelling, the music, the soundtrack, the cinematography, everything was perfect. Season 3 of The Mandalorian, in my opinion, really strayed away from where Season 1 and Season 2 made me feel as, a very proud and happy Star Wars fan on the edge of my seat, excited for the next installment. Season 3 was all over the place. It was not so much about Din anymore. There were some parts that I was just very confused why they would even show that or waste so much time. And I never went back and I never watched the season again. I watched it during the watch parties, and then I watched it again during the breakdown when I was trying to do all the breakdowns. And that was it. Never watched it again. But Season 1, Season 2, watched it many times and enjoyed it and still enjoy it. But Season 3 was just seemed like something completely changed with the writing and the pacing and where the characters were going. I didn't know what was going on there, and I still am very confused, and I hope that they'll pick up the pieces in Season 4 or the movie that Dave Filoni will make, but no idea what happened there. So if we exclude Season 3, I would give The Mandalorian an S tier. But because of Season 3, unfortunately, I am going to have to give it an A tier. Okay? We have Star Wars The Clone Wars. This is the one that George Lucas created. He was very hands-on. I had the privilege of interviewing Jatakor, James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and, of course, Ashley Eckstein. And they both told me how hands-on George Lucas was with The Clone Wars. Once it was sold, Lucasfilm was sold to Disney in 2012. Clone Wars was stopped. It was halted. And then they eventually came back with a Season 7 and completed the story without George Lucas. And I think that Dave really nailed it. I think he brought it home. Would George have made a lot of those decisions? I'm not really sure. I don't know. But it was still really amazing, really fantastic. I think the Clone Wars cartoon is something that every single Star Wars fan should watch because it really rounds out the entire story and character of all of the characters. Not just Anakin and Obi-Wan, but Padme. I feel like a lot of people's gripe with Padme in the prequel trilogy was that she was too whiny. She was really kind of a damsel in distress, and I didn't get that vibe. I thought she was very powerful, very political, very... She had a lot of conviction with her own ways. However, I could see how some people may be getting that vibe. But in the Clone Wars, she was very, very boss girl. Like, she was badass. She did everything she wanted to do. She didn't listen to any of the dudes. She just had her own modus operandi. She had her own ideologies, and she went out and she got them and she did what she wanted to do, much like any other Jedi or anybody. And I think that, the Clone Wars really rounded out characters for everybody. Mace Windu, Yoda, Qui-Gon Jinn, and added new stories too with the Mortis arc, with the clones. Oh my god. Forget the main characters. Let's talk about the clones. We literally humanized them. They all have their own personalities, they all have their own stories, and they all have their own psychosis and their own issues. And I think the Clone Wars is something that
I'm just going to skip to where he ranks them. Because if he talks like this for every single one of them, it's going to be a very boring video. So, but he makes good points. So
To the Batmobile!
I would disagree with his ranking on Mando. I would think it would need to be lower. in my humble opinion.
I agree. I disagree as well. Where do you think it would be?
The first season was good. So I would have put it, if it was just going by season, I would put probably the first season at an A. The second one probably more so towards a B. But the third season was pretty trash, so I'd probably put that one at a D. So it'd probably even out of the C, in my opinion. Just because
See, I would have
season
put
A was good. It had good moments, but B kind of it wasn't near as good. It kind of just it still had good moments, but it just wasn't the first season, and it kind of played the trope that season 3 later did, where it had just a whole bunch of cameos essentially. So
yeah, I would put Mando at B, I think.
all right. No, that's not too far off from what I would say. So, and it seems like he's putting Clone Wars
Yeah,
at
I
a
did like.
S tier.
I loved
so.
season 1. Season 2 is especially with that Luke Skywalker face scan guy.
I thought that was actually Mark Hamill for that one. I think in the Book of Boba Fett they decided to use another actor to play
Mhm.
him, but in that one I think it was actually Mark Hamill that they had, and that was actually playing Luke, and they just did a de-aging thing for his face. So,
Oh.
and it looks like he does put Clone Wars in S tier. So
Ooh, like the whole
I
whole
think
thing?
I think he put the whole thing in S tier. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
I called that he would do that. I'm gonna disagree. I would say it goes in A tier. I got a few problems with it. Continuity wise, I think there
Yeah.
are a few problems that I have with it. Um and it's stuff I've said before with the whole it not really meshing well between episodes 2 and 3, kind of demeaning the whole thing where Anakin goes down and kind of feels like the Jedi don't trust him, yet the whole Clone Wars is him having a Padawan, showing that in the first movie that the Jedi Order kind of does trust him a little bit. I got a few problems with it, but there are good moments. He did talk about the humanizing of the clones. That was done in Legends continuity, but it was never done on the screen or the big screen to this degree, and they did it. They did it really, really well for this. So I put it at A. I'm pretty sure you'd put it at S tier.
Clone Wars?
Yeah,
Yeah, Clone Wars 100% S tier. That's like it's kind of like I would say it's almost like the basis of everything like Star Wars, really.
yeah. I would
And it's
say
really it's just a really solid show.
I would say it's not really the basis for anything Star Wars. I would say that's been mostly the basis for anything animated. Any
Yeah,
animated Star Wars
no,
show?
yeah,
I would say it's not
not
really the
animated.
basis for any of the live action stuff or anything like that, except maybe Ahsoka. I don't think he ranks the
List for the
movies.
shows. Let me know what you thought.
I don't think he ranks the
No,
movies.
just the shows.
Just the shows. Tales of
Oh,
the
okay,
Jedi.
so
Tales of the Jedi is also
yeah,
now an S tier.
Ahsoka at B.
I disagree with that.
Ooh.
I disagree with Tales of the Jedi. I agree actually with the 2003 Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars being up there. That is
Is that on Disney Plus?
yes, it is. I've already told you I need Thomas to
Okay.
watch it multiple times.
Oh,
But
I'm
it is
sorry, I haven't had time.
yeah,
I'll watch
no,
it.
I
That might
get
be a
it.
thing I binged this weekend.
Okay. It's only I think the whole thing combined is 2 hours
Okay, I
and
can
some
do that.
change.
I can knock
So
that out easy.
yeah.
And then
Uh
what's that other thing in S tier?
Tales of the Jedi, which was the thing with Ahsoka.
I didn't see it.
Count it was an animated thing. It was had Ahsoka and Count Dooku. And I didn't really it was interesting, but I didn't like it. To me it felt like they
I'll watch it
changed
and I'll
up a
give my
lot of
opinion on it
the
later.
to me it felt like they changed up a whole bunch of the stuff for Count. It felt like they kind of changed Count Dooku's character into being more sympathetic. It kind of drew a whole bunch of importance on Ahsoka when that necessarily wasn't needed. Like I don't know why they had to go through over Ahsoka's stuff for 3 episodes. It would have been fine if it was just either Count Dooku, just completely just Count Dooku the whole time. That would have been I think that would have been more enjoyable. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'd put the Tales of the Jedi probably at B tier.
I haven't seen either of those, so I don't know. I also
Do you
haven't
agree
seen
with?
all of Andor.
Yeah,
Huh?
neither have I. Do you agree with his placement of Rebel? Let's just go down the list if we can. Do you agree with his placement of Rebels
No.
and the rest of B tier at all?
I think Rebels should be A. I think Ahsoka should stay. I'm gonna keep Bad Batch there too. I just think Rebels should be an A tier because there's just so much stuff in Rebels
Hmm.
that like just that makes it really interesting and really good.
Yeah.
Like I just think Rebels is just a phenomenal show, and I think it should be in the A tier.
I would actually agree with his placement of B tier. Part of me wants to knock it down to a C, but I think B is an okay place for it. As well as Bad Batch. There's stuff I do like about
I think I don't know
Bad
about Bad
Batch.
Batch. That's either there or it's C for me.
I think it's Bad Batch is either also B or C as well. Ahsoka, I think, should be.
I'm just gonna because it's obvious it's not done yet, so I would keep it there for now. But if it gets worse, then I'm gonna put it at C.
Ahsoka, I'd probably put it at C. Bad Batch, I'm gonna leave at a. I'd leave it at B or I'd put it down to C. I don't know which one. But Rebels and Ahsoka, I'd move down.
I would say Ahsoka I would leave there as
Mhm.
well.
Andor, I know me and you both watched it, or at least the first 3 episodes, and we didn't really care for it. So we'd probably disagree with where he placed Andor and put it at D tier.
Very bland.
Yeah. And
But apparently it picked up, I guess.
apparently, so we could put it in the never watched category. So
Yeah.
but I'd
Same
put it
with
at the
Resistance.
D.
I didn't see it.
I didn't care to see it either. Apparently, it's in
No.
between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker movies, so I don't really would want to see it anyway, just because it's in between those two.
I heard it sucked.
And I actually agree with his placement of Kenobi and Boba Fett. So those were not good shows.
I didn't watch Kenobi. I did watch Boba Fett.
So would you agree with his
I
placement
would
of
put Boba Fett
anyway?
at C. I would put Boba Fett at C. I don't think it wasn't bad. It wasn't the greatest. I thought it was decent, so I would have put it at C.
I thought it was bad. So
Fair enough.
how many likes do you think it would take for us to do a ranking of all Star Wars so far?
10.
10 likes?
10 likes.
10 likes? Okay, we'll do it in 10. Hey, 10 likes. We'll do it. I'll make Thomas come over here and get his bad takes on
And
it.
I'll like it too, so that way it's 9.
Yeah, okay. There you go. 10 likes. 10 likes, and we'll make a Star Wars tier list. And
20
we'll have to watch
20 and we'll do a movie one.
I was just gonna include both, but okay.
No. You do what the other guy did. 10 likes for this, and if you double it, you get 20. Then we'll make a movie one as well.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that. They're not gonna get 20 likes.
We will.
We're not gonna. Okay. How
You
about
gotta, you Pacey, you just gotta learn how to push it.
okay. How about 15?
Okay, fine. 20 likes. We'll do the hot wings challenge. We'll go grab the hottest hot wings from Pizza Hut and eat for every single like movie. We'll eat a wing.
No.
But this is 30. This is 30, Payson.
Okay. 30 likes and we'll do that. So 10 likes, we'll do a show tier
I'm
list
pushing
of
it,
Star
guys.
Wars.
I'm trying.
10 likes, we'll do a show tier
This guy
list of
hates
Star
hot
Wars.
stuff. I love it. Let's go.
Shut up and let me talk. 10 likes,
Sorry.
we'll do it. 10 likes, we'll do a Star Wars show tier list. 15 likes, we'll do a Star Wars movie tier list. And 30 likes, we'll do a Hot Wings challenge thingy. So another Star Wars thing, because I know how much you love Star Wars. Sarcasm here. But I found this other video that I wanted to I wanted to show Robert and Thomas when I was over there, but didn't have the time, so thought I'd show you. This is some guy decided to do a ranking of every
Ooh.
villain in Star Wars from worst to best, and in the thumbnail it had like Cad Bane as cool and Darth Vader as lame. So now I want to hear his takes on that.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure it's just clickbait, but if it's not, I might lose it. So this will be interesting to see.
I found the 15 coolest villains
Yeah.
in all of Star Wars, and in this video, I'm going to rank them from absolute worst to absolute best. Now, be warned, this list contains more than just Sith. I'm including bounty hunters, commanders, and even some cyborgs in the mix. But without further ado, let's get into it. We're gonna kick off the list at number 15 with General Hux. Now, I will admit, in The Force Awakens, General Hux was like, at least a cooler character, you know? The movie actually made him into a somewhat commanding figure, and he did have that sick scene where he was yelling at those stormtroopers and giving that speech as Starkiller Base blew up all those planets. That was a great scene. And so when I watched that, I was like, alright, maybe next movie he'll be as good or better. I mean, why wouldn't I assume that he would be as cool and as intimidating in the next movie as he was in this one? Ah, come on, man. Well, maybe he'll get better in the next movie. Oh, come on! How is this guy a spy? He literally blew up like 8 planets. He probably killed trillions of people. Can you imagine for a second if 1 year before World War II came to an end, German Chancellor Adolf Hitler came to the Allies and asked if they wanted to get some friendship bracelets? Oh, Winston Churchill and Franklin Delano Roosevelt would take that opportunity so quickly, it's not even funny. I mean, personally, I would trust the most evil man on the planet if he asked if we could be friends again. What could possibly go wrong? Anyway, what I am saying is that Hux did have potential, but as a result of making him the biggest joke in the sequels, well, I guess the second biggest joke, because you can't really beat Finn when it comes to that, he is ranked at number 15 on my list. Up next at number 14 is none other than the Grand Inquisitor himself. I just know that Dave Filoni thought this guy was going to be so cool when he made him, and I think that diehard Rebels fans do really like him, but to me, the Grand Inquisitor always felt like such a generic sidekick, you know? It's like in a high school drama movie, where the main bully, i.e. Darth Vader, has a big muscly goon who follows him around and does his dirty work, i.e. the Grand Inquisitor, but when the main character of the movie learns, like, I don't know, how to get a life, or probably just kung fu, the goon gets absolutely smacked by the main character. Honestly, to me, that kind of feels like the plot of Rebels, at least in the first couple of seasons. And on top of that, I also despise the Grand Inquisitor's lightsaber. What makes a double-bladed lightsaber cool in the first place is when the user can actually use it well.
So while this is loading back, I got a few disagreements. I don't know if I'd rank General Hux number 15 because he's too far down the list.
Yeah, he's scraping bottom of the barrel there, in my opinion.
I know. I'm wondering if he's just doing it from the movies, but I thought at first he was doing it just from the movies, but now he's got the Grand Inquisitor in there, so he's obviously doing it from the shows as well. And I think there's way cooler characters from the shows.
Oh,
from
yeah.
the movies combined. And I don't even think General Hux needs to be put on number 15. So
I wouldn't even show he's probably gonna put in Kylo Ren.
I would have thought, if anything, he would have maybe made the 5th. He probably will put in Kylo Ren as one of those. I don't know.
I don't know.
It could go any other way.
It's actually
Count
impressive
Dooku's
when you can
not on
spin
this
it in
list,
cool
I'm
ways
upset.
by yourself without a big
Yeah.
machine in the hill making it do it for you. And when you tap a button to make the lightsaber spin by itself while you stand there with your arm out grinning like a 4th grader who just discovered what Nutella was for the first time, it's really not impressive whatsoever and you look like a dork. So because of that, the Grand Inquisitor is number 14 on my list. Alright, at number 13 we have Supreme Leader Snoke. Snoke is actually wildly similar to General Hux in the sense that he was also cool and interesting in The Force Awakens. But then Ryan Johnson came along and subverted all of our expectations because everyone knows that's why The Last Jedi was such a great Star Wars movie, you know? I mean, if I'm remembering correctly, it was the most popular Star Wars movie of all time and the fans absolutely loved it. But the difference between Hux and Snoke was that Snoke was actually cool for the beginning of The Last Jedi. We walk into that throne room for the first time and Snoke's in there hitting people with Force lightning, and then Rey walks in, and I gotta say, when Rey was getting clowned on by Snoke, I was the 4th grader who just discovered Nutella because I was grinning from ear to ear in that theater. Honestly, if Snoke had just kept that up for, I don't know, the rest of the sequel trilogy and been the main villain, then maybe he would have actually been higher on this list. But you know,
This guy does not like Rey. It shows. This guy does not like Rey. And it shows.
Who does?
I don't know. There's some crazy people out there. But I don't know. Once again, I don't know if I'd put Snoke at number 13.
You would be on my list, but it would be like probably 14 or 15.
I think I'd put Hux before. Well, actually, no, they did ruin Hux. I don't know
Nah.
if I'd put him. I think I put him and Hux at about the same level, but I don't think he'd be up at 15. I don't think he'd be in the top
Yeah.
15 of villains.
I agree with that.
You know, it's like I often say, there's nothing quite like getting a lightsaber through the old breadbasket to make someone look like an absolute chump. After this scene, it was really hard for me to look at Snoke and see anything other than an absolute fool for letting a lightsaber get spun 90 degrees right in front of him and then ignite through his body. He was definitely not a very cool villain, especially compared to some of the other big baddies coming up in this video. And because this list does go from worst villain in Star Wars to best villain in Star Wars, I promise that you will absolutely want to stick around to see who is the all-time best. So stay tuned for that. Alright, time to move on. Next up on the list at number 12 is the one, the only Gustavo Fring, proud owner of the Los Pollos Hermanos chicken restaurant. And man, those guys got the best fried chicken in all of New Mexico, believe me. Gustavo Fring is a kind-hearted man and a dedicated member of his community who has some absolutely cutting-edge ideas. And let me tell you, when I say this guy does not skip chest day, he does not skip chest day. Oh, the amount of money I would give just to feel those. Ugh. Well, that's neither here nor there. But obviously I'm talking about the Mandalorian's greatest foe, Moff Gideon. Like the entire Mandalorian show, Moff Gideon has slowly gotten worse and worse with each passing season. Because in season 1, I'll be honest, he was a pretty good villain. But then in season 2, he got thrown into...
I will say with that bit, he tried. I'm not gonna... He tried with the
What?
joke. He tried with the joke. I will say it. He at least tried.
Well,
Felt more like a crash and burn, but you know,
that's like a 9/11 joke right there. I don't like that one.
it was bad.
to the ending because
That
the
was
writers
bad.
obviously forgot that they needed a grand finale for the season. And then in season 3, he got brought back again, and now he's trying to clone himself so that he has the Force, which I gotta admit is a really weird plot point. I mean, you've gotta be, what, 70? You're not exactly a spring chicken anymore, and your plan is to make organic copies of yourself, try to stuff the Force into them like a fat guy stuffing soggy fries down his swollen throat, pray desperately that you can find some makeshift way to teach these clones how to use the Force that they now have. And that's assuming that your plan to put the Force inside of them in the first place actually worked, and if, only if, all of that goes according to plan, then you just gotta hope desperately that they'll submit to your authority, because after all, you taught them how to use the Force, so they're probably more powerful than you. Yeah, seems like an absolutely brilliant plan to me, personally. Anyway, as much as I do love Moff Gideon's incredibly realistic Halloween costumes, I just don't think that he's that interesting as a villain, and it feels like whenever the show wants you to feel the stakes a little more, they just give him an upgrade. He already starts off with a battalion of stormtroopers. Well, not enough. Alright, let's give him the Darksaber. Gonna have to do better than that. Okay, what about a troop of killer death robots? No, scratch that. An army of loyal Beskar armored soldiers. Yeah, not quite there yet, buddy. Fine. Literal Mandalorian Beskar armor with these sick looking horns on top. I mean, what else can I even say anymore?
I mean, he makes fair points on that.
Regardless, I think the number 12 spot is a good place for Gustavo to sit at. Number 11 is the Clone Wars legend himself, Savage Opress. Now look, I actually do like Savage quite a bit.
Yes!
The problem with him is that he's literally discount Darth Maul. That's it. And at least Maul got his skill from years of training, whereas Savage was a scrawny runt who bulked for like 4 seconds, and then spent like 2 more minutes learning how to use the Force. And all of a sudden, he's this crazy powerful maniac that no one in the galaxy can stop. And then for the rest of the show, he proceeds to have no more character development whatsoever. So while he is cooler than the first 4 characters on this list, he just can't compare to the 10 that are coming up. At number 10, we have Kylo Ren. Now, in a YouTube short of mine,
I would actually agree with that placement with Savage Opress, because he didn't get a whole bunch of character development, and yeah, there's problems I have with Savage.
Yeah,
You know, that's
it
neither-
stinks because he was meant to be a really, really good like character,
Yeah,
and I thought they were gonna build him to be this next supervillain,
yeah.
but then they kill him off. It's
They
like,
kind of just
okay,
he just hung around. He really didn't do a whole bunch of stuff. They didn't develop his character.
yeah, he's
any,
kind of
which I
like
think hurt
he was
him.
kind of like, I think he was kind of like the right hand man.
Yeah,
But no, Savage Opress would have 100% be in my top 15.
I would think so, but I think he'd be at the lower end.
He would be bottom of the barrel, but no, he
Yeah.
would definitely be in it.
Yeah.
10, we have Kylo Ren. Now, in a YouTube short of mine, I accidentally called him a Sith, and I got absolutely roasted in the comments, because apparently, he's not a Sith. So that's that. Anyway, Kylo Ren is by far the lamest Sith Lord in Star Wars. Like a lot of characters on this list, he was kind of cool in The Force Awakens, and I gotta say, his lightsaber is absolutely dope. But then he started taking off his helmet, and whining, and screaming, and getting destroyed in every single fight he got into, and I just completely lost interest in the guy. Besides, maybe he shouldn't even be on this list in the first place, because canonically, he did die a good guy, so I'm not really sure how that works. Then again, to quote Gandalf, I'd be a fool of a took if I didn't put Darth Vader on this list, and he's technically a good guy now too. too. So for now, Kylo Ren can live at the number 10 spot. Up next at number 9 is Jango Fett. Jango Fett is a pretty cool guy, and I actually think he's a good character, but the problem is that we only see him for a couple of minutes. And while he does have one good fight with Obi-Wan and then an epic space battle, he dies pretty quick after that. The best part about Jango is definitely his gadgets and gizmos, and I gotta admit, from a technology standpoint, he's by far the best in the biz. He's got a jetpack, a grappling wire, a surface-to-air missile on his back, razor blades on his gauntlets, a flamethrower, and some pretty dope weapons on Slave 1. And those are the things that we know about. The reason I've ranked him about the middle of the list is because if you think about it, that's probably where he belongs. He's cool enough to not be at the bottom, but there are way better villains who definitely deserve to be above him. And if you're some Jango Fett stan who doesn't like that, then you can go, I don't know, cry somewhere. Number 8 is Boba Fett, and I gotta say, the only reason that he's not ranked worse on my list is because his appearances in Clone Wars and The Mandalorian save him. I did not enjoy the Book of Boba Fett whatsoever. I thought it made him a wishy-washy, indecisive pushover and completely changed his character for no real reason whatsoever. And even though he was a literal child in the Clone Wars, he's still somehow cooler there than he was in his own TV show. And in The Mandalorian, he was the Boba Fett that everyone wanted to see, with ruthless fighting, vicious techniques, and a complete domination of any stormtrooper that got in his way. If the Book of Boba Fett had never existed, I would have ranked him way closer to the number 1 spot, because frankly, I just thought that the show was a complete betrayal of the character that everyone already liked, and it just showed that Disney has no grasp on what the audience wants to see or any understanding of the characters that they're messing with. Alrighty, this is where ranking these villains gets mighty tricky, because from now on, all of these villains are actually really cool. At number 7, we have none other than the hairless harpy herself, Asajj Ventress. Ventress is pretty interesting, because she starts off as just a hardcore bad guy, and then over the course of the Clone Wars show, slowly starts to turn, I don't know, better? She was never morally perfect, but she got better. I will say, I'm a huge fan of her curved hilt lightsabers, so that's just an all-around W for me, and I like how over time, she became more of a complex character, and starts to get her own character development. However, one thing that I would recommend is that if she can physically grow hair, she really should, because the whole 3rd stage cancer patient undergoing intense chemotherapy look is really not something to strive for. And if you ever find anyone who would call Ventress, I don't know, easy on the eyes, then they're freaking lying, and you gotta call them out on that. Anyway, is there a... Wait, do you hear that noise? That's right, at number 6, we have none other than General Grievous. Grievous is really cool, because there's like no complexity to this guy, which usually is a bad thing in a character, I will admit, but it works for him because now he's nothing but an unrestrained beast with nothing holding him back. Let me put it this way, when a Clone Wars episode came on and the villain for the episode was going to be Grievous, you didn't really care about the plot that much. You were just excited because you knew darn well that at the end of the episode there was going to be a sick lightsaber duel. And when this guy's arm split in half, whoo boy, you knew you were in for a treat.
I will say I agree with him to some extent about Grievous. The only problem I see is that his character doesn't seem as threatening as it's implied to be in episode 3. So.
Ooh boy, you knew you were in for a treat. Although, I just gotta say it, I don't care how good you are with a lightsaber, if you have a single blade and you're going against some guy with 4 blades, it would not be that hard for him to kill you like that. I mean, literally, if you have 4 blades, you swing 2 of your lightsabers horizontally from opposite sides of him at the same time, and if they have 1 lightsaber, they can't block 2 coming different ways, so he gets split 5 ways from Sunday. But you know what? That's besides the point. At number 5, we have the legendary Cad Bane, who needs no introduction. Cad Bane is by far one of the best things to come out of the Clone Wars, and I would probably say that at this point in time, he is my favorite bounty hunter in all of Star Wars. Maybe if someone's TV show wasn't absolute garbage, it wouldn't be this way, but you know what? It is what it is. This guy's got that sick hat, those dual blasters, the coolest voice in the galaxy. I mean, just take a listen.
Hello there, little lady.
See what I mean? And on top of everything, he's actually a really crafty guy. He's like the opposite of Grievous, in the sense that when he's going to be in an episode, I can't wait to see his plan. Like that one time where he stole a clone trooper's armor and then snuck aboard a Republic Venator and then escaped off the Venator. Oh, pure gold. I was actually so mad when he got killed off in Book of Boba Fett. And on top of that, they didn't even make him look good in live action. Absolutely disgraceful. Coming in at number 4, we have Darth Maul. Darth Maul was already pretty cool when he appeared in Phantom Menace, what with his double-bladed lightsaber and crazy moves, but then Dave Filoni made the genius decision to throw him into Clone Wars, and that really brought him to the next level. The whole arc where Maul came back with his sick robot legs and became the literal king of Mandalore was awesome, and that season 7 finale with him versus Ahsoka was more legendary than me in the bathroom after a bad night at the all-you-can-eat buffet. Man, those fried shrimp really screwed me over. But yeah, not much more that I can say. He's like 3 times cooler than Savage Opress, and it's not even close. close. Getting into the top 3 now, you probably should have a pretty good idea in that old noggin of yours of who's coming up next. So it shouldn't be too much of a shock to you that at number 3, I put my boy Darth Sidious. This guy is by far the smartest character in Star Wars by every metric, and I would argue that he's maybe the most powerful villain too. Sidious has got no shortage of skills, and he's kind of a baller at literally everything, from force lightning to lightsaber fighting and overall skill with the force. Now, be warned, this coming up is a very hot take, and I think I'm probably one of the only people I know who thought this, but I did not like it whatsoever when they brought him back in The Rise of Skywalker. I know, surround my house with pitchforks and torches if you must, but I did not think that he was very cool in that movie, and honestly, in his duel versus Rey,
I think he's joking. I think most people didn't like that he brought him back.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think I'd agree with this placing and probably the Maul placing. Not so much the Cad Bane placing, but I get why he's placing Cad Bane there, and I really don't like the Asajj Ventress placing. I don't think I'd put Asajj Ventress there, but I get why he
No.
did.
Yeah.
So like now it's getting to the point where I can understand why he placed people where he placed them, but I would disagree where he placed them. You know what I mean? Now it's kind of getting into
Yeah.
that territory.
I could not have cared less who won, but that does not change the fact that for the rest of Star Wars, this guy was an absolute Sigma, and the number 3 spot is perfect for him. Alright, and now for number 2, I've been looking forward to this. It's none other than Darth Tyrannus, better known as Count Dooku. Honestly, I seriously contemplated putting Dooku at the number 1 spot because if you've been around my channel before, you know that I am a huge Dooku fan. One of the many things that makes this guy so cool to me is that in the actual movies, Count Dooku isn't intrinsically a bad guy. He's just a man who sees the corruption in the Republic and the Jedi Order and thinks that the Separatists should have the right to break off and do their own thing. Then the Clone Wars rolled around and Dave Filoni did need a big bad guy, so he made Dooku like a maniacal sociopath, but it was still cool. Another thing that makes Dooku so epic is just how good he is with a lightsaber. I actually personally just think that his lightsaber is super cool on its own because, like I said earlier, your boy's a sucker for a nice curved hilt. But on top of that, he's so cool to watch in a duel because he's just insanely smooth and classy and suave and debonair. The James Bond of Star Wars, some have called him. Not me. Some. Not me. But some. On top of everything, he's so powerful with the Force, and when someone makes him mad, he just turns around very slowly and calmly hits them with a deadly blast of Force lightning. Oh man, what an absolute legend. I just love everything about this guy, and thank goodness the Clone Wars TV show centered around him, because in my opinion, he was criminally underused in the prequels movies. Alright, before I get to number 1, I just want to give some honorable mentions really quick. Pong Krell is definitely up there. I mean, what an absolute psychopath. I'm not sure he counts as a villain because he is loyal to whoever gives him the best deal, and I guess that's every bounty hunter, but regardless, Hondo Ohnaka is just an all-around great character, and he's literally Jack Sparrow, so I love that guy. Finally, Pre Vizsla was a cool character when he was alive, and that duel between him and Maul was just epic. Okay, at the number 1 spot, if you didn't see this coming, you're a complete idiot, or you just don't like Star Wars, because everyone knows that the coolest villain in all of Star Wars is, cue the music, Darth Vader. That's right, this Dark Lord of the Sith is definitely number 1, and there's a reason that every single human on planet Earth knows who he is. Along with being one of the most complex characters in all of cinema, his whole story from slave boy to Jedi to husband to cyborg to Sith is truly a beautiful arc. And on a more superficial level, that guy can swing a lightsaber. Holy cow, that scene from Rogue One was insane. Honestly, I think one of the best ideas for a Star Wars TV show would be tales of Vader's adventures around the galaxy. I mean, how cool would that be? You could take any of the dozens of comics about him and animate them or turn them into live action, and who wouldn't want to hear, "Oh, I'm surrounded by his fear and dead men," in an actual TV show? I mean, I'm getting chills just thinking about that. But speaking of Star Wars TV shows, there are already a lot of good ones out there and a lot of
Yeah, that seems to be his list. Definitely not as outlandish
Was that like
as I thought it was
no.
going to be.
Was it like more like was it out of power or was it just in general?
It's basically, I think it was just him subjectively saying what he thinks is the best, worst to best. Like what he thinks. Like not like saying like by power or skill or anything, because if that was the case, I would think a lot of those characters wouldn't be up where he put them. But I'm
Yeah.
thinking he's basing it on like what he liked as far as like character development, coolness factor, obviously, and screen presence. I don't think I disagree with a whole bunch of what he said, but
A few of them I do.
There's definitely stuff I would disagree with, like especially more towards the worst end part. But for like placement more towards the upper half, I can't really say I disagree with maybe like exceptions like Asajj Ventress, maybe, and like General Grievous, especially if they're
Mhm.
going to use the 2008 Clone Wars General Grievous. Don't disagree with that a whole bunch.
Decent tier list, I would say too.
Yeah, not horrible, just
No,
not,
no, that
not the
wasn't bad at
greatest, but
all.
not horrible. So
No.
5 likes on this video, and we'll do a Star Wars villain tier list. We'll make our own tier list of the top 15 of our top 15 villains of Star Wars.
20 likes, we'll do it with hot wings.
You just want to eat hot wings. You're just hungry. That's
Yeah, I'm fat. 30 likes and we'll get Pace and eat some hot wings.
as you know, Disney's been doing a Snow White, or saying they're going to do a live action Snow White movie.
Oh no.
So, but this is something that came out from another company, and I want to show you.
Once upon a time, in time a prince would come. Once upon a time, but now that time is gone.
Just from the teaser, I would say that looks
That
like more
her
care was
singing
taken
was
into it.
really good.
Yeah, that looks like more care
And
was taken
even
into
like
it.
with like and even with like the like music behind
Mhm.
her, like even that was good too, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. So I would like to think that this will be something good.
I'm scared because it says Snow White and the Evil Queen, not the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah, that's actually not the Disney one. No, so that's not
Oh,
Disney
so
doing it.
they had to say that pretty much.
Yeah, this is I believe this is Daily Wire.
Really?
Yeah. So
So Daily Wire
says-
is making their own Snow White?
yeah, and it's coming in
No way. That sounds
2024.
sick.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
that's
looks
gonna be
like
sick.
just based on the teaser. I believe that was a teaser. I don't think that was a full trailer. I think that was just a teaser trailer more per se.
Yeah.
But that looked like more care was taken into
Oh, yeah.
respect of everything, more so than Disney has done so far.
Yeah.
So I am excited for it.
Imagine that one gets more money compared to
If-
the other one.
It might. It probably will. If they release it in theaters,
I'm watching that one.
if they release it in theaters and not just on their
Yeah.
Daily Wire Plus thing, if they release it in theaters at the same time
Oh,
that
yeah.
Disney releases their Snow White, that'll be hilarious. That way you get the contrast
'Cause
comparison of
they're gonna get wrecked.
yeah. Well,
All right, which Snow White do you want to see? The one that actually has good sound?
the one that
The one that's not woke? You know, that would be great.
yeah, the one that was basically a money grab, or the one that was well, technically the other one's a money grab, but they're like, but at the same time they're like, if we're gonna do this, we need to do it right. So yeah, I'm not saying the Daily Wire isn't doing this for like a money grab. They're definitely doing it for a money grab because they're like,
like it's a good money grab though.
that's true.
And it's to prove a point.
They see an opening in the market because people are tired of live action remakes, so they decide to hit Disney where
No,
it
but
hurts.
it's also to prove a point though.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So I get it. I'm
That
not
looks
saying
really
you're
good
wrong.
though. I'm excited about that one.
Yeah. I can understand some critiques about the way some things looked, like
Mhm.
especially with the way that the dress looked and everything. There'll probably be those critiques later on, but so far, just from what we've seen, doesn't look horrible. I'd probably put it.
And like I said, that music sounds really good too.
yeah. So we will
Her
see.
singing and then her and the music as well behind it.
Yeah.
If I think that could be really good.
Yeah, that's not the Disney
Especially
remake.
if it's
so.
like
It's not the Disney
Yeah, of
remake.
course.
The Disney remake has a Colombian lady playing Snow White.
And they can't use midgets because that's wrong. 5 likes and we'll go kill Ethan. Yeah, anyway.
5 likes and we'll go cast ourselves as the midgets in the new Snow White and Daily Watch.
I would, especially with the Amish beard, and for me, that would be
Yeah.
hilarious. I'm excited about that one though. That's a good one.
You were definitely more excited than I thought you would be.
I was like, whoa, that's a spanking cool movie right there. When is it coming out? Sometime 2024?
It just said 2024.
All right, I'll see if I can get to it. Depends on how much I have next semester, but I could definitely go and try and watch it.
I have no idea when it's coming out. And if it does come out, I have a feeling it's coming out specifically on Daily Wire Plus and not movie theater,
Aw.
which I think is stupid. But I think that's gonna.
I wish they
think
put
that's
it
how
in
it's gonna be.
theaters, then put it onto Daily Wire Plus or
Yeah,
whatever.
I wish they would do that too, but they haven't. I don't think they've learned that yet. So maybe they will. Maybe they won't. I don't know. I would think not, but they might. So
Because that would be great for them, though, to put
Yeah.
that in theaters and then for them to eventually get the money grab off of that and then put it on their channel and then they would also get money off of that as well.
well, yeah, and then on top of that, you got a good
And they
start
would definitely get like their
comparison.
money back.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, I think it would be great to give people who might be oblivious to this, if there is still anybody that is oblivious to this, a good comparison as to the Disney woke crap and people that somewhat seem to at least respect the stuff that came before, and
Mhm.
given that decent comparison. So I don't know. It'd be good if it was in theaters, but I doubt it. But who knows?
Oh,
Thank you guys for watching this episode of Galactic Reviews. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on Galactic Reviews.
bye.